Hey everyone, welcome back to my Pantry Reset, or if you're just joining me, be sure to check out all the videos in the series. A few days ago, I shared about pantry storage. Today I'm going to dive a little bit deeper and talk about storing nuts and seeds. Now, nuts and seeds are a huge part of my diet and the recipes that I post, but they're also one of the trickier pantry items that you have on hand. This is because a lot of the fats and the oils in the nuts cause them to go bad much quicker than, say, a legume or a grain. With proper storage, however, you can make sure you always have a wonderful stash of nuts and seeds on hand. As I mentioned before, I like to keep small amounts of nuts and seeds on hand. Typically, I keep them in freezer-safe jars stashed in my freezer. Whole nuts can last up to a year this way, while their cracked and pieced counterparts can last for a couple of months. This drastically reduces the likelihood that your nuts and seeds will go bad. However, if you're like me, you end up with small bits of nuts and seeds crammed into your freezer or your pantry, and you need to use them up. And so the other part of this video, I wanted to share some of my favorite ways to use up a half a cup or less of nuts and seeds. One of my preferred methods for using small amounts of nuts and seeds is to toast them on the stovetop in a dry skillet, and then add to salads or grain bowls, anything that you might want a little extra crunch and flavor to. The toasted nuts are really nice, and you don't need a lot of them to make a big impact. One of my other favorite ways to use small bits of nuts and seeds is to add them to homemade granola. There is no reason you need to buy granola from the store. One of my favorite things to make at home is a really simple granola. I use oats, maple syrup, oil, salt, or a few nuts or seeds. This is such a lovely way to use up a small quantity of nuts and seeds, and you can really mix or match whatever you have on hand. Finally, another option is to add some toasted nuts to vegetables. Whether you're using as a side dish or a topping for grain bowls or polentas, the toasted nuts and vegetables tend to pair really well together, and you can balance some of the softer textures of the roasted vegetables with the crunch of the nuts and seeds. There you have it, a few of my favorite ways to use up small quantities of nuts and seeds to ensure you never have another nut or seed go bad. Be sure to check back tomorrow for the next video in my Pantry Reset series, and if you happen to make a recipe or try one of these tips, be sure to share it on social media with the hashtag #PantryPower. I love seeing what you guys are doing in your pantry and hopefully sharing it on my social media. Thanks for tuning in and happy cooking!